brain theory.
You think you're calm. You meditate. You journal. You watch the chaos unfold in the world and say, "It doesn't affect me." You've mastered detachment, or so you believe. But Marcus Aurelius wouldn't be impressed. In fact, he'd be disgusted, because the calm you wear like a badge, it's not earned. It's not the product of discipline, courage, or virtue. It's a mask, a clever disguise for apathy, passivity, and fear. You're not practicing Stoicism. You're avoiding life. The misunderstanding of Stoicism. Somewhere along the way, you were sold a lie. That Stoicism means being unshaken. That it means removing yourself from emotion, from conflict, from suffering. That peace is the ultimate goal. But Stoicism never promised peace. It promised strength, not avoidance. Action. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations from a mountaintop. He wrote it in the mud, surrounded by war, betrayal, death, and disease. He wasn't sipping tea with a scented candle while journaling about mindfulness. He was holding the Roman Empire together by sheer will, while quietly reminding himself not to lose his soul in the process. He didn't want to escape life. He wanted to meet it fully, sword drawn, soul intact. So when you numb yourself in the name of Stoicism, when you say, "I don't care," and call it wisdom, what you're practicing is not Stoicism. It's surrender. Picture Marcus Aurelius, seated in a freezing tent on the banks of the Danube. The wind howling outside, his generals arguing, his empire fracturing, the plague spreading through his soldiers, his wife dead, his children dying. And still, he writes, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being, not the work of a monk, not the work of a minimalist influencer, the work of a human being, bound by duty, pain, struggle, and moral clarity." Now picture yourself lying in bed at 10 a.m., scrolling through dopamine-laced feeds, telling yourself that peace means not engaging, not fighting, not caring. Marcus didn't want you to be comfortable. He wanted you to be just, to act with purpose, no matter how chaotic the world became. His fire didn't flicker in retreat. It burned because it had to light the way for others. Your calm is often a lie. You've built an altar to your own detachment. You call it peace, but it's just disconnection with a pretty filter. You avoid confrontation not because you're wise, but because you're afraid. You say nothing, not because you're composed, but because you're numb. You claim you've transcended emotion, but really, you've buried it. Let me show you what this looks like. You're at work. Someone undermines you in a meeting. You smile politely. You tell yourself, "It's fine. I'm above this." But your jaw is tight. Your heart's racing. You replay the moment all day. That's not Stoicism. That's suppression. Or you see injustice in the world, in your community, your home, your own habits, and you shrug. You say, "It's not my problem." You post a quote about accepting what you cannot change, and you move on, proud of your calm. But Marcus would ask, is this really tranquility, or is it rot dressed as stillness? He believed the soul must be kept alive through action, not dulled into silence. Life is a battlefield, not a retreat. Marcus Aurelius wasn't a man of stillness. He was a warrior of the soul. He believed life wasn't a retreat to be enjoyed, but a battlefield to be endured with honor. He didn't retire to comfort. He marched through discomfort. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. You weren't made for the couch. You weren't born to observe. You were meant to engage, fully, painfully, completely. The world doesn't need another man hiding behind calmness. It needs someone who can face hardship without losing himself. You think avoiding pain is strength? Marcus thought enduring pain and still doing the right thing was strength. You think ignoring conflict is wisdom? He thought confronting it while controlling your ego was wisdom. There's a story about Marcus on campaign, dealing with a treacherous general. His advisors tell him to execute the man. He pauses, considers it, and then says, "The best revenge is to be unlike him." That's Stoicism. Not absence of feeling, but presence of character. Modern calmness is a performance. There's a kind of calm that's louder than rage. It looks spiritual, measured, enlightened, but it reeks of performance. You say you're non-reactive. You say you've let go, but you still need everyone to see it. You wear it like armor, a curated image of tranquility. You quote Marcus on Instagram. You read meditations like it's scripture. You light your incense and sip your tea and look out the window with practiced melancholy. But it's not real. Not if it crumbles the moment you're challenged. There's a man who thinks he's stoic because he didn't yell when his girlfriend walked out. But he's not stoic. He's broken. He doesn't care. Not because he's transcended love, but because he's forgotten how to feel it. Your calm might not be serenity. It might be a scar, the absence of fire, because you gave up lighting the match. Virtue requires friction. Marcus didn't admire calm for its own sake. He admired virtue, and virtue is forged in friction. What good is your calm if it never faces chaos? What good is your detachment if it never faces desire? What good is your control if it's never tested by anger, envy, humiliation? He wrote not to escape difficulty, but to remember himself inside it, to hold the line in the middle of the storm, to act justly when injustice was tempting, to speak truth when lies were profitable, to lead when it was easier to abandon. You don't become stoic by sitting still. You become stoic by struggling rightly. Think of a firefighter standing in front of a wall of flame, trembling, exhausted. But she goes in anyway, not because she's fearless, because she knows what must be done. That's real calm, not the absence of fear. The discipline to walk through it. Marcus Aurelius would walk into your quiet room, your flickering candles, your soundproof headphones, and he'd ask you one question: what are you avoiding? Because if your calm costs you your conviction, if your peace protects you from your purpose, then it is not calm, it is cowardice. The Stoic wasn't asking you to meditate your way out of suffering. He was asking you to face it without becoming cruel, to act with clarity when the world is unclear, to move with grace when the world is ugly, to be still, inside, while still doing what must be done. So if you've found peace, but you've lost your passion, if you've mastered control, but abandoned courage, if you've become calm, but forgotten how to care, then Marcus wouldn't admire you. He'd pity you. Because calmness is not the goal. Character is, and character is born in fire. So here's the question. Would Marcus Aurelius be proud of the way you live? Or would he look at your version of peace and see a soul that's already given up? If you made it to the end, comment below. Calm isn't enough. Let's see who's still awake. Let's see who's still in the fight.